Family comes first, Anna. Your father needs you. Those words from my dad echoed in my head as I stared down at my resignation letter. After 8 years of building my nursing career in Boston, I was about to give it all up because of one guilt-soaked phone call from back home in Minnesota. My name is Anna, and at 33, I thought I'd finally found my place in life. I had a great position at a prestigious hospital, close friends who felt more like family, and a cozy little apartment overlooking the harbor. Then came the call that shattered everything. Deborah's health is declining, my dad had said, his voice heavy with practiced concern. Your brothers are too busy with their families, and you're the only one with medical training. You understand what we're dealing with, Anna? We need you here. I still remember how my hands shook as he laid out all the reasons I had to return. How Deborah, my stepmother of 15 years, couldn't manage the house anymore. How they needed someone with medical knowledge to coordinate her care. How family must take care of family. What he didn't mention was why my brothers, Jack and Peter, couldn't help despite living just 20 minutes away. Or why they couldn't hire professional assistants, considering my dad's construction. Business had done very well. Or why this had suddenly become urgent when Deborah had been managing her. Chronic conditions for years, but guilt, it's a powerful weapon. Especially when used by a parent who knows every button to press. Remember how much we supported you through nursing school? He'd reminded me, now it's time to give back to the family. So here I was, boxing up my life and trying to explain to my bewildered friends why I was leaving. My best friend Sarah thought I'd lost my mind. They're manipulating you, she told me over our last coffee together. They've got 2 sons right there in town, yet they're guilt-tripping you into giving up your whole life. Deep down, I knew she was right. But every time I thought about backing out, I heard my dad's voice again, the subtle disappointment, the reminders of family obligation. The hospital had been supportive but disappointed. We'll miss you in the ICU, my supervisor said. Not many nurses have your ability with tough cases. I folded my resignation letter, slipping it into an envelope. 8 years of building a reputation, of being the nurse everyone trusted in a crisis, of creating a life I loved, all of it sacrificed because family comes first. The reality of moving home hit me as soon as I pulled into the driveway. My dad stood on the porch, not offering to help with boxes, while Deborah watched me from behind, the window already frowning at how I'd parked. You'll have to move that, were his first words. Deborah needs clear access to get her car out. No hello. No thank you for coming. Just immediate criticism. I'd given up my apartment, put most of my belongings in storage, and driven 12 hours to get here. My cat Luna was still anxious from the long ride, meowing in her carrier, but apparently the most pressing issue was where I'd parked. The basement apartment is ready, my dad finally said, coming down the steps. We cleared some of the old boxes, but you'll need to clean it up a bit. I'd nearly forgotten about that space, damped, dark, last renovated sometime in the early 90s, a far cry from my bright Boston apartment with its harbor view. Deborah needs help with her medication schedule, he added as he followed me downstairs. And the house needs a thorough cleaning. She can't manage anymore. I looked around the musty basement. It was basically one room with a tiny bathroom that had seen better days. The carpet smelled of mothballs, the small windows barely let in any light. I thought Deborah just needed medical help, I said, setting Luna's carrier down. Family helps family, Anna. You're not too good for housework, are you? There it was again, the same guilt-inducing tone that had worked so well over the phone. But it felt different hearing it in person, standing in a moldy basement as my professional life crumbled. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Made it okay. Place as bad as you feared. Before I could reply, my dad cleared his throat. Deborah needs help with her breakfast medications in the morning. Be upstairs by 7 sharp. And make sure that cat doesn't make a mess. From upstairs, I heard Deborah call out, Frank, tell her she needs to vacuum down there before she brings in any more boxes. I can hear dirt crunching from up here. I looked at Luna. She looked back with her usual unimpressed stare. What have we gotten ourselves into, girl? Asterisk, that first week set the pattern for everything that followed. Each morning started with Deborah's medication schedule, but that was just the beginning. Soon, I was responsible for the entire house cleaning, grocery shopping, cooking, laundry, even yard work. And no matter what I did, it was never right. That's not how you fold towels. Deborah would scold, hovering over my shoulder. You're using too much detergent. Honestly, no wonder you're still single if you can't handle basic chores. My nursing skills, the very reason I'd supposedly been summoned home, were hardly used at all. Deborah's so-called declining health seemed to mean little more than that she didn't want to do housework anymore. She had no issue driving herself to bridge club or spending half the day at the mall. My dad stayed absent most of the time, working long hours at his business. But whenever I brought up concerns, he was quick to side with Deborah. Your stepmom just has high standards, he'd say. Is it really so wrong to want things done properly? Maybe if you paid more attention to detail in your own life, you'd have settled down by now. The digs about my single status never stopped, as if my career in nursing counted for nothing without a husband. Meanwhile, my brothers carried on untouched. Jack stopped by once, saw me scrubbing windows, and hurried off with some excuse about getting back to his family. At least some of us have real responsibilities, Deborah commented after he left. I tried calling Peter, hoping for some support. He just laughed. Better you than me, sis. You know how she gets. Yes, I did know. Like when she reorganized my basement apartment while I was out getting her prescriptions, claiming my clutter was affecting her anxiety, or when she threw away my favorite coffee mug because it didn't match her kitchen style. Sarah kept urging me to leave. You're an IQ nurse, Anna, she reminded me over text. Your old supervisor even called. They haven't filled your spot yet. They want you back. But every time I thought of packing up, guilt pulled me back in. Family comes first, that mantra I'd grown up with, even if family meant being treated like unpaid help. The breaking point came exactly 1 month in. I was outside pulling weeds in Deborah's prized rose garden when I overheard her on the phone with her sister. Frank was so clever, she was saying, getting Anna to come back by exaggerating my health problems. Now we've got a free housekeeper who can't complain because she's family. Though honestly, she's not very good at it. My hands shook as I yanked weeds from the dirt. Free housekeeper. Exaggerating health problems. They had manipulated me into throwing away my entire life. Not because they needed medical care, because they wanted a servant. That night, while making dinner chicken grilled exactly to Deborah's picky standards, I started taking notes on my phone. Every chore, every insult, every dismissive remark. I tracked hours spent cleaning compared to actual medical care. I even started watching Deborah's social media, tennis club photos, shopping sprees, bridge nights. Some health crisis. The chicken's dry again, she complained at dinner, pushing her plate aside. Really, Anna, for someone who earned a nursing degree, you'd think you could manage basic cooking. I glanced at my dad, waiting for him to say something. He didn't. He simply passed her the salt. And the roses, she added. They're not pruned properly. I saw you hacking away like you had no idea what you were doing. I spent 3 hours in that garden, I said quietly. Well, clearly not doing much good. And the windows need cleaning again. I can still see streaks from here. I set down my fork. Funny, I said, how your health problems never stop you from inspecting my work, but somehow keep you from doing any of it yourself. The silence that followed was heavy. My dad's fork froze halfway to his mouth. What did you just say? Deborah asked, her voice low and dangerous. I said I overheard you. On the phone. Bragging about exaggerating your health issues to trick me into coming here? I don't know what you think you heard, she snapped. I heard enough, I shot back. About how you manipulated me. About how you laughed at how easy it was to guilt me into giving up my career. Now wait a minute, my dad started. No, you wait, I cut him off. I'm an IQ nurse. Did you really believe I wouldn't notice that? Deborah's so-called declining health always improves the moment there's shopping or bridge. Or tennis. I have good days and bad days, Deborah said sharply. No, I said coldly. You have housework days and fun days. And somehow all the housework days land on me. My dad's face darkened. You're being disrespectful. And you're being manipulative. You lied to get me here. You used my medical training against me and turned me into your maid. After everything we've done for you, he began, what exactly have you done? I demanded. Besides trick me into moving into a moldy basement and giving up my career. The basement apartment was a generous offer, he insisted, red-faced. Most people your age would be grateful for free housing. Free? I laughed bitterly. I work from dawn until night, cleaning your entire house, cooking, maintaining your yard. A full-time housekeeper would cost you thousands every month. Family helps family, he repeated weakly. Does it? Then why aren't Jack and Peter here? They're family too. But they get to live their own lives while you guilted me into giving up mine. They have families, my dad argued, and I had a career, a life. An apartment overlooking the harbor, all of which I gave up because you lied about Deborah needing care. Deborah shoved her chair back, the legs screeching on the floor. I do need care. Just because I have good days. Good days? I cut her off, pulling out my phone. Let's review this week. Monday, tennis club. Tuesday, 4 hours shopping at the mall. Wednesday, hosted bridge night. Thursday, lunch out with friends. Friday, planning next spring's cruise. Doesn't exactly sound like a health crisis, does it? My dad shifted uncomfortably. Now, Anna, don't. Enemy, I snapped. I spent 8 years building a career. 8 years becoming the nurse patients could count on in their darkest moments. And you both of you used that against me. You turned my compassion into a weapon. We needed help. My dad muttered double quotes no. You wanted help. That's different. You could have hired someone. You could have asked your sons. You could have arranged anything reasonable. Instead, you manipulated me into becoming your servant. That's not fair, Deborah protested. We gave you a place to stay. A moldy basement with a broken bathroom, while I slave away cleaning your house and listening to constant criticism about how I can't do anything right. My hands shook as I shoved my chair back from the table. The weight of their deception pressed down on me. You know the worst part, I said, my voice trembling. If you had actually needed medical help, I would have found a way to support you without throwing away my own life. Because that's what real family does. Where are you going? My dad demanded as I headed toward the basement stairs. I'm done being your free housekeeper. I started throwing clothes into my suitcase while they followed me downstairs, talking over each other. Luna watched from her perch on the dresser, tail twitching, as the argument escalated. You can't just leave, my dad insisted. What about your obligations? My obligations? What about yours? Parents are supposed to want their children to succeed, not trick them into giving up their dreams. We never made you give up anything, Deborah snapped. You chose to come under false pretenses. Because you lied about needing medical care? Lower your voice, my dad barked. This isn't how we raised you to behave. No, I shot back. You raised me to be easy to manipulate, to always put others first. To feel guilty for having a career instead of settling down to Be someone's maid. Luna, smart cat that she was, hopped into her carrier without needing coaxing. She knew we were leaving. If you walk out that door, Deborah threatened, don't expect to be welcomed back. I stopped, turning too. Face them. That's your solution? More threats? More manipulation? We're your family, my dad tried again. No, you're people who use my profession and my compassion against me. That's not family. That's exploitation. You're being dramatic, Deborah snapped. Frank, tell her she's being dramatic. But something in my words must have struck him. My dad looked at me differently, like he was actually seeing me as an adult for the first time. Maybe we can discuss this calmly, he said. Work out a better arrangement. There is no arrangement. I'm going back to Boston, back to my career, back to people who respect me. Your old job probably isn't even available anymore. Deborah sneered. Actually, it is. They've been holding it for me. My supervisor called last week. That wiped the smug look off her face. You've been planning this? She demanded double quotes no. I've been waiting. Hoping you'd prove me wrong. Hoping this wasn't just about free housekeeping. But you proved exactly what it was. I zipped my suitcase, grabbed Luna's carrier, and headed for the stairs. You'll regret this. Deborah called after me. No, I said without looking back. The only thing I regret is letting you manipulate me in the first place. The 12-hour drive back to Boston felt like freedom. Each passing mile peeled away the weight of their manipulation, their criticism, their cruelty. Luna slept peacefully in her carrier, as if relieved to be free of that damp basement. My phone buzzed constantly. My dad alternated between guilt trips and angry demands that I return immediately. Deborah apparently called every relative she knew, spinning the story that I had abandoned them in their hour of need. My brothers sent awkward texts asking me to reconsider, but neither offered to step in themselves. Other messages came too. Sarah had already lined up viewings for apartments near the hospital. My old supervisor confirmed my position was still open and even hinted at a raise if I came back. Colleagues sent excited texts about my return. I stopped at a hotel halfway, through needing time to process. Sitting on a clean bed, Luna exploring the room, I finally let the tears fall. Not from sadness or guilt, but from relief and anger at how easily I had been deceived. Around midnight, my dad called again. Your stepmom is very upset, he began. Is she upset? I said coldly, or just angry that her free housekeeper left. Anna, please, we can work something out. Like what? Another guilt trip about family duty. More lies about Deborah's health. We do need help, he said quietly. Then hire someone. Like every other family does when they need assistance. Stop expecting your daughter to throw away her life because you don't want to pay for help. There was a long silence. I didn't realize. No, you didn't think. Not about what you were asking me to give up. Not about how it felt to be treated like a servant in my own home. You just saw a way to get free labor and took it. That's not fair, he muttered. Neither was lying to me. Neither was watching Deborah criticize everything I did while she played tennis and planned cruises. Neither was expecting me to live in a moldy basement while my brothers kept their lives intact. When Mrs. O'Malley began gathering scraps of evidence that suggested something dark was hidden beneath the hospital's walls, it seemed fate always placed a miracle patient in her path. Their stories were so astonishing, so undeniably transformative that they cut right through her rising doubts. Her own husband, Patrick, was one of those very men. Once struggling with his lungs, he now breathed with a strength that rivaled men half his age. His vitality wasn't just restored, it was as though he'd been remade. Then there was Michael Sullivan. He had once been crushed under steel on a construction site, an accident that should have sentenced him to paralysis. Yet somehow, not only did he walk again, he thrived. Michael pushed through 14-hour workdays without even the faintest sign of fatigue. Asterisk, asterisk. Cases like these cannot be brushed aside. They were far too dramatic, far too complete to be explained away by ordinary chance or medicine. Each account cast a shadow of doubt over the very suspicions Mrs. O'Malley tried to nurture, and yet, beneath all that wonder, she still felt the unshakable pull of unease, because for every miracle tale, there were whispers of those who had not walked out, of Saint Mercy alive,